The crackle of the calms filled the air until the silence swallowed it completely. Looking towards my window, I see the amber light flickering through the panes of my glass hitting my wall to my right. Creeping through the air is the stench of death, unmistakable odor of rot. I train my eyes to my bed and close it. I take a deep breath and start heading downstairs. I open the door as slow as possible and listen. I hear nothing and continue through the heaps of dead bodies that litter the floors. I'm now down to the second and the first floor, holding my bile at bay. I creep through the front of the apartments to the neighboring building out of sight. Glancing at my place one more time, turning south towards Eden. Suddenly, I heard the rumbling of trucks coming my way. Panic-stricken, my body, like white-hot needles ravaging my body. My body was moving before thought gained a standing. Blaring through alleys and homes, I got to my stash. Huffing and puffing, I stripped the stuff I needed and my rifle. Pulling out a compass and getting a cardinal direction to follow. Looking towards the town I called home burning with white-hot embers, I turned south and headed to Eden. Dear God, the world has failed so far. I had no time to think or process the horror I came across. Thinking to myself, have I and others missed the rapture? No way to be certain, so to dwell on it was pointless. I was getting near a tree line. Passed through it now in more familiar surroundings. The tree creaking and swaying put me at ease, I don't know why. Fumble through the forest is infinitely better than the streets I once called home. I was on my way to my brother and nothing was gonna stop me. I don't know what is happening, but I do know it's something very big, something where they were burning corpses and killing at what seemed to be random. I needed to expel thoughts of such out of my mind if I ever want to reach Eden. There is a small town, if you call it a town, before I'm in Eden. It's easy to miss when in a car, but hard to miss on foot. The town is filled with to the gills of grapevines. It's on a saddle and the minerals flowing from the ridges give great returns. Either way, I got to the town and headed towards the center. Mind you, the town was dead silent as usual. Nothing was out of sort getting into town. I went to the library and went to the third row and pulled on the seventh book on the seventh row. The floor next to me creaked open slowly. A barrel of a gun pops out of the crack. I jump back and I say, calm storms need not winter and fall. A man peers through the floor and gun drawn on me lowers it in earnest. Jack. We've been waiting for you, brother. Pete. Oh God, you're okay. Fuck me, mate, let's get in the shelter. I said, climbing through the open gate that was a false floor. Jack, am I glad to see you, said Pete, climbing down the long ladder. Same here, brother. Where's my brothers? I said to Pete on the last step of the ladders. Isaiah is here with Faith, but Noah isn't here, said Pete, casting his gaze downwards. Okay, take me to Isaiah, I said as a pain struck my stomach. Follow me, said Pete. We went down passages and hallways filled with many families. Babies crying, children ask their parents what is happening. For being underground, it was well lit. What I mean by that is 30 steps in. It was like stepping into another world. Anyways, Pete was walking very fast to the war room. I was near him rounding the corner when I heard Isaiah say, no, the outside isn't lost yet. We can still get it back. We have seen darker times, yes? Have faith. Isaiah. Brother. What a mighty speech. I am barreling into the war room. Isaiah was awakened by me being there. I said, coming through the door. Raphael. You son of a bitch, said Isaiah, hugging me tightly. You made it. We spoke at great lengths about what was happening. Isaiah told me that a friend it wasn't a natural thing that was going on. That it was war, bio-war. Isaiah told me there were great explosions that shook the ground. Everything stopped electronically. Par for the course happened to me. What do you mean bio-war? I said, confused by his words. Raphael, that's the thing. Before I could ask, transmissions was terminated, said Isaiah. Stunned and glancing to my right corner of the room, I said, there were bodies. Huh? What do you mean? Asked my brother. Damn it, Isaiah, they were everywhere. Heaps burning and laying on the ground. Oh fuck, I think I'm going to be sick, I said, dry heaving. Isaiah walked to a table and was intent on it for a solid minute, rubbing his eye like he didn't sleep a wink. He slammed his fist on the table, turning his head towards me. Bro, did you get anywhere near anybody in town? Asked Isaiah. When I looked in my brother's eyes, I saw something I had never seen before. Not hate nor sadness, but fear. Yes, I spoke. When? Isaiah spoke. Yesterday, before I got to my place. I said, rubbing my brow. Isaiah changed his posture to a more relaxed stance. He took a seat and let out a sigh of relief. Holy shit. He spurred out. You lucky son of a bitch. Grabbing a bottle of what seemed to be liquor, pouring for two. You lucked out, brother, Isaiah said. In awe, I walked to the table and struck it. Isaiah, what the fuck is the problem? I reached for the glass, smelling it. It was whiskey. I knocked it back. Dear God, man, you nearly gave me a heart attack. You think I'm sick? I spoke. No, I don't think you're sick. They are. It's fast, whatever it is. Isaiah said, knocking back his glass. He looked at me and smiled and got up. He gave me a hug and told me to get some rest because tomorrow is going to be a very long day. I agreed and he showed me my room. It wasn't the Hilton, but it would do. The next day came, and it was very early according to the analog clock on the wall. I looked closely in the room and gathered new clothes to put on. It was a small room, but not too small. There was a bed, chest, and sink and mirror. Not a lot of decoration, just enough to get through the night. Anyways, I went out of the room and saw a folded note attached to a board on my door on the outside asking me to meet in the mess hall, signed by Isaiah. Rubbing my eyes and walking through the corridor, I saw people just now getting up themselves. As I walked a little further, I saw what seemed to be a K-12 room to being prepped for a day of school. As I get closer to the mess hall, I can hear the clinging and the idle chat of many people. I got to the doorway and saw a very big room filled with tables and many people. I spot my brother in line for food. I go to him and tell him, hey, good morning. I got your note. Good morning as well, brother. Let's get breakfast and sit over there. He said, pointing to a place in the mess hall that was void of people. I nodded and got my breakfast and headed over there with him. I sat down and looked at the food and said a prayer over it. So, what do you know, or what do you think you know, Raphael? Isaiah said, just finishing his prayer. Before I could answer his question, he interrupted and said, I need as much detail as you can tell me. Pondering for a second, racking everything in my brain that happened. I told him everything to the best of my ability. He and I were eating through the talk, but when I got to the part of the burning bodies, he stopped eating. Looking at me, and I was going to ask a question but didn't. I finished what I was saying and he folded his arms. Okay, all right. It tracks with the intelligence I got so far from people coming here. Isaiah said while taking a sip of coffee. So, you were in the mountains when it began? He asked. He set his coffee mug down. I was just about 1/8 to my camp, so what do you know about what's happening? I asked Isaiah. Not much. Many people got an EMP alert and just beelined it here. The unlucky few stuck to their guns and hunkered down. The EMP occurred and effectively disabled most electronics temporarily. Isaiah took a moment and took another long sip of his black coffee. He didn't like sweet coffee just like me. He dug into his jacket pocket and pulled out a mint vape bar and offered me one. I accepted and he continued with what he was saying. The initial explosion was likely from an overhead bomb. The others occurred atop tall buildings. Isaiah inhales deeply from the vape bar. The ones that left at first danger didn't see them. The others, and mind you, it was only few, saw them. As far as I know, it's a bioweapon that can transfigure the ones that get infected. Isaiah looking around and smiling and nodding his head when a couple passed by. Remember, Raphael, only few are allowed this information. To be blunt about it, I know next to nothing about what's going on. Isaiah finished saying. So, EMP bomb and what seems like a bioweapon attack is all we gathered. What about Noah? I said, finishing my coffee. He still hasn't reported in yet. The EMP bombs stopped about a day ago, so it should be safe for communications to start up again. Isaiah said. Damn, okay. Do we know how many members made it here? I asked him, hoping it was a good number of people that made it. Last night before lights out we confirmed 65% attendance. He said, grinding his teeth. He frowned and so did I. Looking at my cup wanting another cup of coffee, my brother noticed and offered that we should get another cup of coffee and head toward the war room. I nodded and we went. Now back at the war room I see new faces from last night. I sat down across from my brother. One of the few I didn't recognize handed me a vanilla folder. She was short with dark hair and a bun. On her chest the nameplate read, Hark, I assume that's her family name. The others were on machines doing radio checks before broadcasting a signal. Raphael, I don't believe you've met Sammy. She's in third command. Isaiah smiling ear to ear. Sir, I thought we talked about this. I hate that nickname. Hark now mildly fuming handing Isaiah another, but same folder. Just busting your balls, Sam, geez. Anyways, Raphael, in this folder are all the operators we have in play and can be sent out for recon. I reckon we send a squad of 5 in 4-hour intervals, looping the surrounding area. Isaiah thumbing through the pages. I need your help along the help of Sammy here to get 6 teams ready. Sam scowled at Isaiah when he wasn't looking but turned into a nod as he confirmed it with her with a nod. Sir, Henderson and I organized what I believe will be a complimentary list of squads for you to look over. I'm needed at the comms. Sam says to Isaiah. It was pleasure meeting you, Raphael. I've heard great things from Mr. Henderson. I'll be on my way, she said and took off to the other side of the room with the others. Me and my brother looked over the group of operators and pretty much confirmed Santha's documents of squads. It was a very long list with very detailed documents of what they know, what they could do, and what they specialize in. We thought over the idea of changing the intervals and came up with 4 shifts till we get a better understanding of what's happening. Furthermore, we saw that there was a problem with the entree points. We talked about stationing guards near the entrance of all 5 points. There are cameras, but can be deceived very easily. So, eyes on approach are best. Now it was midday now, pretty much everything was ironed out. Isaiah got up and said, let's take a break. Let's take a walk. He gestured towards the door. I stood up and followed him. Raphael, as you know, we are in a great place, yes? Our dad knowing something was coming and built this place for a reason. Isaiah said, slowly walking ahead of me. Well, no shit, he was one for over-prepping. I said, matching his pace. I recognized we were heading towards one of the armories. Isaiah, I need to ask you something? Go ahead, ask away. He grunted. I know Dad put you center of ops, and I was cool with that. But I can't sit here and idle away, you know that, right? I said, trying to see if he heard me. He did hear me but had a grimace on his face that said it all. I know, brother, all I'm asking is to hear me out. Noah is MIA, and I need you to help me lead our people, Isaiah said, stopping short of the armory. His gait and stature are like no other. Clenching his fist, struggled to stay calm. Knowing him, he wanted me to stay here. I took a step back and tried to defuse the situation. Listen, Isaiah, Noah is MIA. I need to find him. I spoke. Isaiah grabbed my shoulder and said, Oh, I know, brother, we both know he's east. Noah was on a business trip. Last I spoke to him, he was in Wyoming. I grabbed his shoulder too and gave him a grin. Okay, at least I have a place of direction. I'm going to go and find him. Me and Isaiah started to walk again towards the armory. Hey, you know I got this right? Duh, Isaiah grunted. That's good to hear. Can you spare any operators? I asked Isaiah. I thought you worked alone? Isaiah spoke. I did. I replied. What changed? Isaiah replied. I don't really know, but I know this isn't going to be a one-man show. I need people to cover my back in high-stress situations. So, who can you spare, brother? I asked Isaiah. Isaiah grimaced and typed in the code to the armory. I'll ask around, but I know a few may come regardless. But listen to me. I want no casualties, you understand. Isaiah spoke like thunder. Isaiah, I'll never take high-stakes chances unless it's the only option. I spoke as me and Isaiah walked into the armory. I'm gonna need a few extra boxes of 556 and 9, and can you print out a route to Midgard? Sure, I can do that. But when you mentioned seeing the dead bodies, I got a bad feeling. Do you trust what the old man said? Isaiah said. Isaiah tossing me the extra ammo. Honestly, I can't tell anymore. On one hand, he might be freaking crazy. On the other, things have really hit the fan in more ways than one. I spoke. I've never seen carnage like what I saw. To be fair, I thought I stumbled into a movie set. Are you gonna try to go there? Isaiah no more concerned looking. I grab my gear and stuff the extra ammo in it. Me and Isaiah start to leave the armory. Well, no, I can't till we get a hold of Noah. He's our priority. I'm just hoping its calm's being affected, I spoke to Isaiah. Isaiah is now locking up the armory. True that, brother, Isaiah spoke. Now I and Isaiah are walking back to the command center. The walk back was less chatty. Silence said more than words ever could. We were taking a different route to the command center. I believe it was towards the food court. I broke the silence and asked Isaiah, why are we heading to food court? I think Clark is there right now, and I wager the ranch he's gonna volunteer in a heartbeat. Noah and he were thick as thieves years back. I do remember him talking about Noah and him getting together for a camping trip before all this, Isaiah responding to me. Huh, never heard of him, I spoke. We rounded the last corner to the food court. Yep, there he is, Isaiah said, leading the way to Clark. Clark was sitting and drinking coffee, I imagined. Clark, I want you to meet my brother Raphael, Isaiah spoke, slapping the shit out of my back. I was caught off guard with his dumbass move. Sir, and Raphael, nice to meet you. What can I do for you, sir? Clark jolted up like a fresh recruit. He shook my hand and Isaiah gestured for us to sit down. Are you up for a Sunday drive to Midgård? Isaiah spoke. Clark clearly surprised and said, yes, sir. Noah hasn't been responding to any hails. So, Raphael here is gathering a team to check on things, and I know Noah and you are good friends, Isaiah said while leaning back and glancing at me. Clark took it all very well. I'm assuming he was a relatively new hire to Eden. Come with us to the command center and iron out the details. We all headed to the command center and talked in length about the routes and planned to get to Midgård.